Okay, this is Mr. York. Welcome to week 4 of Intro to Photography for GATE, and today we are delving right into Photoshop. Everybody is in Photoshop already, and we've got it pulled up on our screen. You'll notice that mine looks a little bit different from yours because I've been using Photoshop, and you either have a trial or you have a version that no one's been using, and so because of that, when you open it up, there's nothing there. So I have to show you some things on how to get started first. If I go too fast, just please stop me. I have a lot that I'm trying to get done in a short amount of time. So today we're going to start with titles. Next week we're going to do something else. And that'll give us 2 weeks of Photoshop in a photography course. And then the last week we'll be able to do some kind of catch-up work, and it should be good. And I want to show you guys how to download a picture real quick, because this might be something that you want to do at some point. I know this is a photography class. We should really be taking our own pictures, but we haven't uploaded anything yet. So all we're going to do is just go to Google Images and find something that's a high-res pic. And I want you guys to pay attention. I know you guys have all done this a bunch of times, but I want you guys to follow what I say so that we all get a relatively high-resolution picture. Because I don't want anyone to make a mistake, so just stay with me real quick. So we're all going to take the same thing. What are we looking for today? I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's type in B-O-K-E-H. And then hit enter. And when you go to images, you should see some really nice pictures of just that. If you guys take a look right here, this is our Lego guy Emmett. And when it comes to high resolution, what I'm looking for is something that's just large, something that's not small. See how much of the screen this takes up? That would work perfectly. In order to get that image, what I want to do is actually click on it. Don't leave it as a thumbnail. Like if I right click on this one, this is a very low res image because it's only the thumbnail. You have to click on it to select it for the computer to know that that's what you're looking for. So you're going to grab one of these, right click on it, and go to Save Image As. It's going to say where do you want to save it and what are you going to want to save it as. In this case, I want to make it something easy to find, so I'm just going to put Lego, and I'm going to put it on my desktop and hit Save, and then I have a picture to deal with and I should be in good shape. If it's a really small image, then try to find another one that's larger. And you don't have to do the same one as me, I just was pulling one up. Anybody need to see it again? So right here, just look at mine. I'm going to right click, go to Save Image As. Little drop down comes up. You're going to change the name of it and you're going to leave it as desktop so that you'll know where to find it, okay? You can leave it as desktop, and then at the top, name it something so that you can find it easily later. I need you to open up Photoshop again, put it on one side of the screen. I'm going to put mine over here on this side. Now you might notice that when you open up Photoshop, it either has nothing or it might have this page right here which says New and Open. Instead of going to File, Open, or anything else, I want to show you how easy it is to take a picture and put it into Photoshop. Even though I've got all this stuff that Photoshop is looking at and it's like, hey, I found all these pictures, do you want any of these? You can take your picture, whatever one it is, and just drop it in here, and it'll say, oh, okay, you want that one, no problem. Does everybody understand? Get and take any picture that you want and do that now. In fact, you know what? I'm going to use a different picture if I can find it again. I'm going to go to my photography stuff. Mine looks a little bit different than yours. I'm going to try to reset mine. At the very top where it says Window, one of the things that you might do is you might lose some tools. And so you can always come back here to like Workspace and try to make yours look the same. Please don't feel bad that yours doesn't look exactly like mine, because the thing about this program is that there's so many different variables to it. You can make it look however you want as long as you have the same tools. Right now my library is open. I'm going to collapse that real quick. I think I'm going to. There we go. Because I don't need that. What we want are layers, channels, adjustments, properties, and paths, things like that. So I want to show you guys a couple of things just to get started, and that's all we're doing today. We're literally just trying to do titles and cropping, and that's it. Now, why would you use a program like Photoshop instead of just using PowerPoint. Because literally I can do a bunch of stuff in PowerPoint. A lot of the things that you guys love to be able to do, creating memes, putting together a collage, trying to put a graphic, a title on something, right? Some type of motion graphics, any of that stuff. I can do all of that in here. I can even remove the background from something, put you in another scene, green screen effect, the whole thing. I can do all of that in PowerPoint, and I can export it as a JPEG. So what is the difference, and why would I bother with something that's way more complicated like Photoshop? That's our question for the day. Why would you bother with it? And the reason is very simple. If you were to do all those things in PowerPoint, the problem you run into is when you export it, it'll degrade your photograph. Meaning it'll take the resolution down. It does it for everything. In fact, it's something that Microsoft does a lot of. This program never will. You can export stuff from this and save it as a JPEG, and it will be brilliant, high resolution, just as you put it in. And that's the really cool part about this. You can do almost anything you can think of in here. And probably a bunch of stuff you've never thought to do. But you do it without any degradation, which is really cool, especially if you're a photographer. Now let's say that you've gone out and you listen to my first 4 classes and you've taken a bunch of pictures. You have them all on your computer. You can import them into Photoshop. And there's a couple of things that you're going to want to do right off the bat. For example, we talked before about aspect ratio. What aspect ratio does your camera shoot in? Usually 3:2. What do you print stuff in though? What if you wanted to print something? What if you wanted to post something in Instagram? What is the aspect ratio of Instagram? 1:1. I'm glad that he's paying attention. The rest of you guys are asleep, huh? That's okay. So if I want to make this 1:1 so I can then post it on Instagram, or if I want to print it, unfortunately framing and printing are often not matching up either. They have weird sizes like 11:14. It was something you would never think to do something in. 4:6 would be easy, right? Because that's just 2:3 multiplied by 2. 20:30 is great. We can blow stuff up really big. And the nice part about this program is that it'll make it so it looks perfect for printing. So if you want to do stuff even at some place like Costco, which is not known for good printing, but it's cheap and you could do it, you could make a canvas print out of it, you could make this whatever size they say they're willing to sell you. So for example, if I go to Costco and I want to make a canvas print, the lowest price one might be something like, I'm trying to think of their sizes, it's like 12:16 or some weird size. You could set it up in Photoshop ahead of time so that it's perfect and you don't have any cropping issues. So that's the first thing we're going to look at. Over on the left-hand side, does everybody see all the tools that are there? Does anybody see one that looks like crop? Where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is crop. And if I click on it, I actually get a second menu that pops out. Does everybody see that? There's all kinds of different tools. There's perspective, crop, slice, and all that other stuff. And if I click on one of those on accident, then my cropping tool now changes to that. So I want to keep it as the cropping tool, but I'm just trying to show you a little bit about how this program works. Now, right off the bat, you'll notice that if I put my cursor right inside the cropped area, which in this case is 3:2, it'll change different things. So as we move around, you can see all the different tools. What we want to do is go over those real quick. At the very top, you'll notice that the aspect ratio is 2:3 or 4:6. I can click on the drop down and look at all the different ones that we have. 16:9, 5:7, we have 1:1. These are all pre-programmed in. If we have different resolutions up here, points per inch or PPI, we could have dots per inch, which is DPI. Everything by default is in inches. So right now we've got 2:3, 3:2. You can switch this too, by the way. And you can tell that this is a 3:2 image because even though it's portrait orientation, when I flip it to 2:3, see those 2 arrows up there that I'm using? It matches perfectly without any cropping. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change this into a landscape one. And so what I want to do is change it up there. Now you guys can do whatever you want. You guys can try and change this from 3:2. Are most of yours in 3:2? Yours is 16 by 9, that's fine.
16 by 9.
Okay, so if you can tell, easiest way to tell that is like if you look at mine, you see how there's no cropping that I need to do, and it says 2 by 3 up here. If I wanted to make mine 16 by 9, let's do that. I'm gonna change this one. I don't care which one I use right now because I can always flip it. I just hit the arrows, there we go. You can see how much I'm gonna have to crop out, right? And my job is to move this wherever I want so I can get the part that I want. So let's say maybe I want just this part over here. That doesn't look very good, so I'm gonna flip it and I'm gonna pull it up this way. I'm gonna adjust mine slightly, and then when you've got it the way you want it, all you do is hit the check mark. Or you can hit enter on your keyboard and it'll actually crop it for you. Now, some of you guys are now gonna have something really small. Everybody take a look at your keyboard, and there are 2 keys on there next to Control. There's Windows and Alt. And if you're in if you have an actual Mac keyboard, then it's actually Command and Alt, I believe. You push down 2 of those and scroll with your mouse, and you can scroll in and out. Everybody, crop your image to something. I don't know what. Whatever you want it to be. Should we just say everybody to 4 by 3? Let's try that. Everybody try 4 by 3. You'll notice that mine is getting cropped smaller and smaller, and the problem with that is that I'm losing my megapixels. There are less megapixels here. This looks less in focus than it did when I started because of the fact that when I started I had so many megapixels and now I don't, right? Does everybody understand that? And you can spin it as well. If I go to the outside edge right over here, right, it'll allow me to adjust it. So if I took a picture and it was crooked, I can actually change it. Or in this case, it's not that it's crooked, but maybe I want to make it look a little different. I can just crop it like that, and I'm done. Up front, yes? All right, let's talk about that. Good job. All right, so whenever I want to undo something, there's a problem with Photoshop. Photoshop does not work the same way as your other programs. How do you undo with your other programs? Most of them do have an undo button, but there's usually a keyboard shortcut for it. What is it?
Control Z.
Control Z. On these computers, because they're Macs, it would be Windows Z, because we're not using a Mac keyboard. But on here, I want to show you something. Take a look at this. Everybody go up to the edit window. Go up to the edit window, come on. Thank you. You'll notice that the first thing it says is undo crop because I just cropped it. And that is Command Z or Windows Z. But then it says step backward. And that's a totally different thing. Does anybody know what this symbol is right here? In every other program you'll ever use, you can usually just keep hitting Control Z and it'll keep backing up for you. This program doesn't do that. If you hit, watch this, I'm gonna hit Command Z or Windows Z on this in this case, and then I'm gonna hit it again. And then I'm gonna hit it again, and then I'm gonna hit it again. Anybody notice any difference? All it does, if you keep hitting Command Z, is it just keeps undoing and redoing. That's it. In order to actually back up, you have to hold down Alt and Z, and then it'll start backing up. You guys see the difference? Very good question, thank you. And if I want to crop this again, because we said this was 4 by 3, I can click on it. It'll throw up the grid lines for me, and then I can decide where do I want it. And this time I think I'm going to crop it where I think it's more in focus and see if that helps a little bit. I'll get that ring and that knuckle in there. And that's my picture now. So we've learned how to back up, and then we've also learned how to zoom in and zoom out so you can see it better. Hey, look, pixels. Any other questions up front? Did you have another question? Yes, please. Did you zoom in too far? Okay, good. So if you have a problem, you can do this. Look at mine. See this little X right here? You can exit out of that, and that's this picture, and then just throw it back in there again like you did. Start over. Because I'm not sure what you did. And our last thing today has to do with titles. So down here at the bottom, do you guys see the big T for titles?
Yes.
Yes, so everybody click on that, and I'll try to explain to you guys how titles work. And it works different depending on what tool you have. So right now I'm in the title tool, so it's going to behave a little bit different than if I had any other tool. So go ahead and just go into the center of your, or the side, or wherever you want in your picture, and click. And you should get an insertion point. Now if you can't see it, it's because your font size is too small. And right away, I'm going to go up here to the top where the font is, and I'm going to change the font size to something a little bit smaller. We'll make it 36, and again, I can still zoom in. I'm going to put it down here. And in this case, we're going to put in a title. And I just want you guys to do the same. Now you notice that if I take my cursor and move it away from the title, I get the arrow with the mover, and that allows me to move it wherever I like. Yes? Okay, so I'll say this again. Watch me carefully. Do you see how my I don't know if you can see this up there, it's kind of tough, but I've got it, my insertion point, or my I bar is right up here. As soon as I move it off of it, it turns into an arrow with the mover, and then I should be able to move it where I want. Everybody have some text there? Good. In order to change the font color, we're going to highlight it, come up here to where this color picker is, and we can make the color anything that we want. I'm going to take that window and move it off of the text so I can still see it. Let's all make ours something that's real easy to read. I'm actually going to leave mine white, because I kind of need that to be white. But you guys make yours something legible. Now, can everybody see their layers over on the right hand side? If you can't, you should be able to go to Window. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing right now. Hang on. Let me try this. There we go. Under Essentials, it should show up. We're looking for layers. Does everybody see layers over on the right hand side? You should see two of them now. It should be one for the background and one for your text. And if you want to see what it looks like without the text, all you have to do is hit the eyeball and it's gone. Hey, look at that. You want to see what the text looks like without the background, same thing. I'm going to take mine, and the first thing I'm going to do is I have to make sure that I've clicked on the layer that has the text. I'm going to go back and select that layer. Because if you're on the background, this won't work. I'm going to go down here to the title tool and make sure that I have that selected. And I'm going to change my font. My font is up here where it says Impact. Impact is actually the one we use for memes. But I want something more fancy. So let's go find something fancy. What do you guys think? Help me out. What would be a fancy font for this? For what I'm doing here?
Apple sample. Apple transfer.
What's it called?
At the top, it's Apple transfer.
Apple? Where do you see Apple? Oh, right there. All right, that'll work. Okay, so that's one you're used to seeing. I'm going to take this now and I'm going to go up to Layer and go to Layer Style. And this is probably the most complicated thing I'm going to show you guys today, so pay attention, please. And if you missed this or if you need to hear it again, just let me know. Again, I've got it highlighted. I'm going to come up here to Layer, Layer Style. And I can actually pick any of these to get the Layer Style window, but today I'm going to try to start with Stroke because I want to make sure I can see this. What color should I use for stroke? Red? That sounds good. And if I move the window down just a little bit, I can kind of see the effect that it's making. I can change the size of it. But if I make the stroke too much, stroke is just a line all the way around your text. And the nice part about it is it makes it really easy to see. In this case, I can't make, yeah, see that font that you had me choose? It makes it so that I can't choose anything more than one, which is fine. Maybe that's all I need. On the left-hand side, you'll see a whole bunch of other options though. There's Bevel and Emboss, and you can click on those and make any changes that you want to it. There's Inner Shadow, which doesn't help me out with this one. Inner Glow. I'm going to take a different font. I'm gonna go try a different font and see if that is easier to see those effects. Somebody have something else that they thought was good? I'll tell you the one I like to use. That one's nice. There we go. I'm gonna try this one. I'm gonna make my font size a little bit smaller. There we go. And you'll notice we have all kinds of cool options like drop shadow. Now the way these work, when you click on them, if you click on the check mark, it doesn't necessarily go to that option. So you have to make sure you actually click on the option to see the effects for it. For example, here on drop shadow, I can change the opacity of it. Opacity is how transparent or untransparent it is. There we go. How's that look? I'll zoom in on mine so you guys can see it.